Chief Justice Roberts, President Carter, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, fellow Americans, and people of the world, thank you.
Some of us come here to drop crumbs, just crumbs. POTUS is 100% insulated. Any discussion suggesting he's even a target is false. POTUS will not be addressing the nation on any of these issues as people begin to be indicted and must remain neutral for pure optical reasons. To suggest this is the plan is false and should be common sense. Focus on military intelligence and state secrets, and why might that be used versus any three-letter agency?
President Trump, James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people, so whatever happens, happens.
Because it kind of feels like some spy novel.
This is a novel. Nobody would buy it. It would be a failure because it would be too unbelievable. Nobody would believe it's possible.
What Supreme Court decision opened the door for a sitting president to activate? What must be showed? Why is POTUS surrounded by generals?
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning. Because today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
Again, there are a lot more good people than bad, so have faith. This was a hostile takeover from an evil, corrupt network of players, not just Democrats. Don't fool yourself into thinking Obama, Soros, Rothschilds, Clintons, etc. have more power present day than POTUS.
Chairman Comer about issuing a subpoena to George Soros, which I think he's going to. And then I actually just received a message today from Representative Van Drew, who's in New Jersey, that actually said on his subcommittee, of which he's a chairman, they're going to explicitly be looking at George Soros's interferences in our election process.
What do they think the accusation here is? That they were buddies? Like, I never thought that George Soros and Alvin Bragg were hanging out and like going to coffee in the morning. The accusation was George Soros has an insane political philosophy that gets people killed, and he's been paying for these candidates' campaigns.
See, there you go. There you go. There's your connection. Trying to tie George Soros to Alvin Bragg, saying that he's in his pocket because he's paying for the campaign.
On Obama and the spying situation, this idea that they were spying on your campaign, you've been asked before about what crime he would have potentially committed, but I remember you talking to
treason. Treason.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's treason. Look,
it's treason.
Look. When I came out a long time ago, I said they've been spying on my campaign. I said they've been taping, and that was in quotes, meaning a modern-day version of taping. It's all the same thing, but a modern-day version. But they've been spying on my campaign.
Again, no evidence of the spying.
President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States.
You can never allow this to happen to another president. This can never, ever happen to a president again, Sean. That was a disgrace and an embarrassment to our country that they were allowed to get away with this. And hopefully they won't get away with it.
But foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting President of the United States.
If HRC directed and financed the dossier in order to obtain the bulk, so-called evidence, in order to generate circular news articles, think Yahoo, and obtain a FISI sign-off, is it reasonable to think that members of the intel apparatus, State Dept, White House, foreign allies, were also involved? The biggest scandal in our known history. A new word for treason will need to be invented. The only way to regain the trust regarding equal justice under the law, regarding the White House, regarding intel, regarding the FBI, regarding the DOJ, regarding the Senate, regarding Congress, regarding 5I, regarding our government of the majority of the American people, is to provide truth, transparency, and prosecution of all those who knowingly took part in this illegal manufactured effort, an attempted coup to take down the President of the United States, is the first phase. The first phase opens the door to the Great Awakening. The attempted coup, treason, opens the public door to more serious. The pill must be easy to swallow. The lead-in. The public must be prepared for what is about to come. The Clinton Foundation.
I often reflected at really what was behind it. They were there thinking, okay, we have all of this power, we need to silence him, undermining our democratic republic as they claim to be doing so to save democracy. But when we really take a step back, we recognize that they were acting out of fear. They were terrified of losing their perceived power. They're terrified of their own personal position or fame or profit or whatever the thing was. They were terrified, ultimately afraid of us.
With this strategy, we are calling for a great reawakening of America, a resurgence of confidence, and a rebirth of patriotism, prosperity, and pride.